So what's kind of subject matter resources would you recommend to folks who are just starting out or looking to do this? If maybe some executives are looking to maybe expand their supply chain capabilities, what kind of resources would you recommend that they start to look at and or take on to kind of build their expertise in this area?
Okay, that's a great question. I mean, I would say ISM is a great foundation for knowledge. The accreditation is really important. It's a great basis. I did my Chartered Institute of Supply Chain Management in the UK,
and that's the UK certification. That's equivalent to ISM.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And CIPS and ISM work really closely together. The IPS, sorry, the Institutes of Purchasing and Supply work very closely with ISM. So I would say, that foundation is really key. Then the thought leaders in this space it's increasing, which is really great to hear. And I would say some of the strategy houses have been kind of very proactive in this space for a number of years. So the McKinseys, the Bains, the BCGs, the A.T. Kearney, especially in this field. And they, if you kind of have a look at some of the resources on their website and the materials, the seminars that they put together, they're really great information sources. They're cutting edge. They're constantly looking at research and development in this area. So I would say, have that as an app. Have the McKinsey or the A.T. Kearney as an app on your smartphone, especially as you're waiting for that flight. It's great. The thought leadership that they come up with is really important, interesting, and will further someone's career with that knowledge. Absolutely.
And this is in supply chain is where a business can get ahead of the competition by being more profitable, more cost effective, and having this cutting edge information can really put your business ahead, light years ahead of your competition. Would that be a fair statement?
See, that is so exciting. Absolutely, because there's transferability in supply chain management. I think more so than any other field. Because you can look at best practice, and this is how we've been placing executives for our clients. In some areas, high tech has been really progressive in procurement strategic sourcing because their velocity of change is so fast. CPG has been so margin sensitive, so they have had to be, and their executives have been forced to be really creative in terms of business solutions. Also innovative to look at new product introductions. When you're looking at these particular areas, the results can be transferred into financial services or into healthcare, for example. So we're working a lot in the healthcare sector just now, especially following healthcare reform and the changings in cost of care and how everything's accounted for. Supply chain is absolutely strategic, and it is so critical because within healthcare there's only two costs. It's the input, raw materials, services costs, and it's people. And healthcare organizations, hospitals know that if they can make their third-party goods, procurement and supply chain really as efficient as possible, then they don't have to impact staffing. And much as we think there's a lot of inefficiency in healthcare, they are so lean and they're such great people that the work we're doing in supply chain management within healthcare is so important.
That brings up a great point. You mentioned some executives and having some critical skills. And the next section we'd like to talk about is, what are you looking for when you're looking for candidates? What are some of the key points you look for when recruiting candidates for the positions you're looking for?
Yeah, I would say some of the fundamentals are pretty generic across the board. I'd say attitude and approach. The interpersonal skills at the leadership level are really as critical as the technical. So the technical skills are a given, in essence, right? Our clients demand that we find them, individuals who are really deep in their functional expertise. So that's a given, and that's a right of entry. But what makes executives successful is really their cultural fit, their ability to understand how an organization works and adapt their approach to suit the organization, sometimes to work at the pace of the organization and also to be able to push the organization in the direction it wants to go. So it's a great question. A number of roles that we do for our clients involve transformation. They're really looking for a leader to maintain status quo. So when we're going out, we're looking for individuals who have put together best practices in their current organization and then are able to transfer those skills and results, but with suitability to the new organization, and drive results. So the one aspect which is really key is delivery. It's understanding how to define the strategy, but how to execute it and how to then deliver results. So we look for a track, and it's an obvious thing that you'll hear, but it's a track record of success, and then the ability to translate it into the new organization.
Yeah, that brings up a great point. You mentioned the ability to adapt to a culture, translate strategy to something somebody understands, and we know that in different organizations have different personality skills. And this coming May, you're going to be doing a presentations about emotional intelligence at the annual conference for ISM. Could you maybe elaborate more on what you're going to be sharing with folks at that conference to, let's get them in your class so they can choose many things, but we want them to choose yours so they can learn about this kind of stuff. And that's critical for an executive to have this kind of information. How do I adapt my communication? Could you share more about that?
Absolutely, Randy, and I'm really passionate about it, so I'd love to have the opportunity to do that. So yeah, I'll be presenting with Ron North, who is the Vice President of Procurement at Ventura Foods, and the topic of our presentation at the May conference, and it's on the 4th of May, will be emotional intelligence in the supply chain. And we will base it on a lot of fantastic research and information that's widely available, but tailor it to supply chain management. You're absolutely right. The ability to have self-awareness, to have self-management, to have empathy in working with organizations, to be able to drive results, but do it in a way that you bring people forward with you and you give them the ownership, is just critical to sustainability in supply chain management. And it's an interesting piece as we talk about it, because the CPSM is critical, right? Individuals in supply chain management need to have credibility, and the CPSM gives them that. The experience supports it because it's such an interesting field, and it's not prescriptive, right? It changes. It changes with how you work in Europe, or how you work in the US, or how you work in Asia. So the field is constantly evolving. The requirements are constantly evolving. It's not static, like, for example, within finance, where there is a particular function, there's a quarterly close, and everything follows suit. It's very process-driven. In supply chain management, it's multifaceted. So you've got process, absolutely. You've got data-driven results, but you've got a lot of ambiguity. You've got a lot of situational factors. So how you cope with them in times of extreme stress, or how you approach a team member who is encountering other issues but maybe bringing them to work, is critical to delivery. And that's where emotional intelligence comes into play. So it's a fascinating field. The great thing is you can evolve. So your EQ, your emotional quotient, can evolve over time, and as soon as someone starts to recognize it, they can start to work on it. And so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about it. We'll be talking about some of the building blocks in that way, and what people can do to increase their EQ.
Very good. I love the emotional quotient. We actually help people figure out what their EQ is by doing what we call a DISC assessment, and so they can kind of figure out what their personality style is and doing that. So that's one of the services that we offer as well, and helping people develop their leadership.